Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Father Ted Talks Faith in Action series. Today, in our episode, we will be discussing the Orthodox Prayer Corner. So, a lot of people have asked me, what is an Orthodox Prayer Corner, Father? What is the purpose of it? How do I build one? Where do I place it in my home? How do I use it? How do I maintain it, right? How do I decorate it? So, all these kind of questions are very, very prevalent today, especially amongst the younger generation, perhaps because a lot of our younger people do not know how to use it, or maybe this tradition has kind of fallen out of use in North America. And so I think it's really important that we kind of revive it and we bring it back because it's an integral part of our home prayer life, the church in the home, as we like to say in the Orthodox Church. So what is a prayer corner? In Greek, we call it an ikonisma. Ikonisma is basically a small area in our home dedicated to prayer, right? And so, of course, prayer can happen anywhere in your home, and most people, they pray in their bedrooms or, before they go to bed and things like that. But there is this beautiful Orthodox tradition of having a focal point in the house where the whole family can kind of pray together, where you can kind of gather a lot of your icons, other religious items, which we'll go through, and be able to have kind of like a family experience of prayer together, not just our personal private prayer, right? So the prayer corner or the ikonisma is this kind of spiritual focal point in the home where we can kind of have our daily prayers. We can do special prayers with our families on the feast day of our saint, for example, or on other big feasts of the church, and just also a constant reminder of the presence of God within our home. If you have Orthodox grandparents, you'll know that that generation really was very consistent in having a prayer corner or a prayer area. And you'll know if you go to your grandma or grandpa's house, and you'll see a lot of times they may be in the kitchen or maybe in the family room or maybe somewhere in the hall, but they will have like a little niche, a little kind of corner where there's a focal point, and you'll see a lot of icons and maybe an oil lamp and things like that. And so this is what we're talking about. So today I'm showing you my own personal prayer corner, my own personal ikonisma, which is in my apartment here in Toronto where I live with my family. And this is my prayer corner. And it's interesting that for us, this particular prayer corner is right in the front of the apartment. So our front door is right here. And so as soon as you walk in, this is mounted on the wall, and it is kind of like the focal point for us. We found that it was very, very important to have this at the front of our home, not so much because we want to advertise it for people who are coming in, although it is really important for people to know that when they're entering into an Orthodox home, that it is an Orthodox home. But it is more important for us, like the first thing that we come in and see, and the first thing, or rather the last thing that we see when we exit our home is this beautiful corner and focal point of our faith. And so this, looks a certain way, and we'll talk about that. And different prayer corners can look different ways. They can be shelves, they can be little cabinets, as this is. Sometimes they have doors, sometimes they don't have doors. Really, the prayer corner can be anything you want. It doesn't have to be one particular way. Although a lot of times in the more older traditions, you will see that there is some type of little cabinet. Sometimes there's little doors that kind of close and protect the icons and other religious items. So this particular one here does not have any doors, but it is just a kind of a custom cabinet that was made for me when I was a young man. When I was in my teens, my parents had this cabinet made for me, and I had it in my room when I was living at home before I was married. And I kept this all these years and maintained it. And I brought this over into my new family when I got married and when I had children. And we've had it as the focal point of our faith. And so let me show you a closer look at what is in my particular prayer corner. And also we can discuss a little bit about, what are the type of things that you should be putting in yours as well. So an Orthodox prayer corner, as we said, or, cabinet can really be any shape or size. It can, have multiple different icons in it. This particular one, as you see, is an actual cabinet that is mounted onto the wall. And in it, there are a few things. So number one, you'll notice that there is a kadili. A kadili is an oil lamp, which is right here. You can see it. It's a kind of a hanging oil lamp that we have. But you can have one that is sitting down on the bottom. You can have another type of candle. Some people don't have an oil lamp. They might just have a regular candle, as you see here. That's fine as well. But usually some type of candle or some type of oil lamp is preferable, so that you can light it on major feasts. You can light it on Saturday nights as we enter into Sunday. That's also a beautiful tradition, and also a nice way of focusing our prayer. When we come together as a family and want to pray, we light our kandili, our oil lamp, or we light our candle, and we do our prayers. So there is an oil lamp hanging. Another thing that you'll notice is that there are different icons here. So there are different formations of icons in different prayer corners, and a lot of people kind of maybe just put whatever icons they want into there. But it is important to note that the best way to kind of organize your icons, in my opinion, is to have Christ and the Virgin Mary at the center, as you will see here. We have Christ and the Virgin Mary in the middle. Sometimes it can just be Christ. And then usually, sometimes you'll have Christ in the middle and the Virgin Mary and John the Baptist flanking the two sides. But here in this particular one, we have Christ and the Virgin Mary here. We have St. John the Baptist because my wife's name is Joanna, and so that is her patron saint. On this side, we have the St. Theodore the Commander, and St. Theodore of Tyre. St. Theodore the Commander is my particular patron saint. Underneath here, we have Evangelismos and the Archangel Gabriel, which is my son Angelo. We have St. Catherine Yekaterini, which is my daughter. And we have St. George here, the trophy bearer, who is also my other son, George. And so these are kind of like the main icons. And a lot of families, this is what they should have. They should have Christ and the Virgin Mary, John the Baptist, and then, of course, the other patron saints of the family. Sometimes on the sides, you can have other icons that people have given you. That's nothing wrong with that. You can have whatever icons you want in your prayer corner. There's no rule about how many you want to have or which ones you put. So we have some extra ones here, but we don't have a ton, but we have a pretty tidy prayer corner. Sometimes you can see icons also placed on the wall around the main cabinet. That's fine as well. There's no rule against that. Some of the other items that you might kind of notice is that here we have a brass censer. This is to burn incense. This is an incense holder. We have a little bit of incense in here. As I said, we have a little bit of a little candle stand as well. And we have some other items here. You know, we have some charcoal, some incense, a lighter, some holy water. And that's pretty much what we have here on the prayer corner. There's also a prayer rope here for prayer. And so these are kind of the typical things that you will find in a prayer corner. You will find icons. You will find an oil lamp or a candle. You will find incense and an incense burner. And you will find sometimes holy oil or holy water, especially from Epiphany. Some people keep it, or from the house blessing season at that time. And these are the kind of religious items that are usually prevalent within prayer corners. So, you know, having looked at some of the items that we have, you know, the reason why we have these items are so that we can pray properly, right? So, of course, the icons are there as a focal point, both of for us looking at the image of Christ, the Virgin Mary, the saints, our patron saints, which we should have a connection to and know their lives. And also then the other items that we use in prayer. So we light the candle or the candili, the oil lamp. We usually burn incense sometimes. I personally like to burn incense weekly, especially on a Saturday night, you know, going into, as the sun goes down, going into the Sunday, into the day of the Lord, or on major feast days. So you can have your charcoal, you can have a little bit of incense and things like that. And holy water, it's nice to keep holy water within your home, not only at Epiphany season, but during the year to have a bottle of holy water. Sometimes people get sick, they would like to drink some. Sometimes we want to bless something, and so it's good to have a little bit of holy water. And so these are the main items. Sometimes you'll see people also have books. You know, we have a few books up here, you know, my prosforo books, you know, of baking prosforo and things like that. Sometimes people might have an actual, depending on where their prayer corner is in their home, they might have a little analogion, a little stand with a book, maybe, you know, maybe the daily readings or their prayer books. Different families have different setups, right? So, you know, I know some families where they have a much larger kind of little chapel area, maybe in their basement or maybe somewhere else where they can have a full stand and they can, you know, do readings and things like that. So it really depends on what you want to do. You can be creative with it, but the main things that we have in there are Christ and the saints, you know, and our incense and our oil lamp and our holy water and things like that. And so we try to keep our religious items together here. And a lot of times, you know, it's preferable to mount our icons towards the east. It's not absolutely necessary in the sense that sometimes we don't have the ability to mount them depending on the architecture of our home. And so sometimes they don't face the east, but traditionally speaking, our prayer corner or our icons are mounted towards the east because as Christians, we pray facing the east. This is why all Orthodox churches face east, the altar, and because it's the rising of the sun, and we associate it with Christ, who's the light of the world. And so we pray towards that way. So if you can create a prayer corner facing the east or somewhat towards the east, that's also preferable compared to facing other directions. Of course, this also does not negate having icons in other parts of your house. Like I personally think that there should be an icon in every room of the house. It again reminds us of the presence of God. In our children's rooms, for example, their patron saints. My kids have a patron saint icon over their beds. Saint George and the Archangel and Saint Catherine. I have on my side of the bed Saint Theodore. My wife has Saint John. So we always have the icons near us to kind of keep God in our minds and that imagery. And so also that we can pray at any given time. Usually wherever we turn, there is a religious item that we could kind of use as a focus, as a focal point to be able to pray. And so again, the prayer corner is something fun, something that families can build together. You can explore how you want to do it. You can involve your children in it. Your children can even incorporate into the prayer corner icons that they've made at Sunday school, at church school, or things that they've kind of put together. Their artwork, their religious artwork, for example. Sometimes kids do that. You can have an area where you can place their pictures. Sometimes when my kids were a little bit younger, they would draw icons and things like that, and I would place them and stick them on the wall underneath the prayer corner. Again, a way of them contributing, or they can help choose the icons that kind of go into the prayer corner. And it's also a beautiful way for them to begin to train on how to act in church, right? So when we go to church, we light candles, we do our cross, we kiss icons, all these kind of actions that we do, it starts with the home. It starts with doing it at home with our children. And so if they do it on a daily basis and they do it on a weekly basis, then it's not foreign to them when they walk into the church. There's a little bit of the church in their home, which is so important and really essential in raising Orthodox Christians. So, again, as a recap, the prayer corner should be a focal point of prayer within the family home. It should have our Christ and the Virgin Mary, and of course, our patron saints in there, if possible. It should have also our other religious items, whether it be holy water, holy oil, incense, charcoal, oil lamp, things like that. And sometimes it has books. And of course, it should be placed on an eastern exposure, if possible, and a place where the family can congregate together in a simple way to be able to pray. And to make sure that it's visible within the home so that we know that this is an Orthodox home. It's a reminder both to those who visit our home, but also especially a reminder to those who live in the home. Christ is always with them, and that we kind of try to live an Orthodox lifestyle in all aspects of our lives. I hope this was helpful. If you do have any questions, feel free again to email me at Fr.TEDTalks@gmail.com, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks with another episode of Father TED Talks Faith in Action. Till then, take care and God bless.